Hey, Richard Bryce here, Tennis Hacker. In this video, I want to help you to use your legs and your hips more effectively on your forehand. Your legs and hips are really the power source of all your strokes, including the forehand. You need to be driving through your back or outside leg to initiate the swing. So what I want to do is show you a little bit of my practice and some of the forehands that I'm working on to explain how it works. Now, I'm naturally a right-handed player, but unfortunately, I injured myself in a mountain bike crash, so now I'm relearning to play left-handed. Obviously, trying to become the best player that I can, hopefully get to the point where I can start competing on the Seniors ITF Tour. And I've been working hard for a few years and I'm starting to get there in terms of the forehand, but using my outside hip has been the biggest struggle for me. So coming from being a right-hander with a one-handed backhand, now playing left-handed, I'm having to hit a lot more open stance forehands, and I need to be a lot more effective with my left hip. So I want to show you a few of the different variations and kind of talk about what I mean by that, because it's such an important piece. Okay, so let's take a look at what I mean by using your back or outside hip to initiate the swing. We'll look at a couple of neutral stance forehands and then we'll do a couple of open stance variations. Now, because I'm left-handed, my back or outside hip is my left leg. If you're a right-hander, your back or outside hip is going to be your right hand. Now, what I mean by using your outside hip is this. You're going to be driving into the ground with this leg. As you do that, you're going to be throwing your hip forward, and that's what initiates the start of the forward swing. Okay, so we'll look at that again. I'm preparing. I've loaded my back or outside leg, and we'll talk more about the preparation in a moment because that's going to be crucial. And then I'm going to throw this hip forwards, and as I throw that hip forwards, that starts the swing. That's what creates my racket lag, and that's the source of the power. So we'll now look at that in an open stance as well. Now let's have a look at the open stance, and obviously it's going to look a little bit different, but the key pieces remain the same. So I'm loading my outside leg as part of the preparation. So I'm loading the leg there, and then to initiate the forward swing, I'm going to be throwing this hip forwards. Okay, and then we'll look at that one again. So loading as part of the preparation along with the unit turn. The weight is on that leg. I'm going to throw it forwards to initiate the forward swing. And then finally, let's look at an inside out or inside in forehand. I can't remember what I was hitting on this day, but what you'll see is the movement into the ball is a little bit different, but the key pieces are the same. Loading this outside leg, ready to throw the hip forwards to initiate the kinetic chain and the forward swing. So that's always going to be the important piece, is trying to drive that back hip, and really the faster you can throw that back hip around, the more power you'll be able to generate on your forehand. So yes, we want the racket coming through quickly, but it gets initiated with this back hip. And I think Dr. Mark Kovacs has done some really fascinating research on the serve, so a little bit different, but what he finds is that the correlation, even on the serve, the people with the most powerful serve, they throw this back hip round the fastest. It really is the power source. Now that you understand what I mean by driving through the back or outside hip to initiate your swing, I want to talk about the stumbling block and one of the hardest things for most people to get, including me, and that's really to do with the preparation, the way that you set up. Because in order to throw this back hip forwards to initiate the swing, you have to set up properly. If you don't get the setup done in the right way, you don't prepare properly, it doesn't work. And like I said, this was the biggest thing that I was struggling with. Now, what we need, obviously we've got the unit turn. So the unit turn being the upper body being rotated. We've got this back or outside leg being loaded. What we also need is we want to try and rotate our belly buttons in this direction. So if we can rotate our belly button towards our back hip, that is going to store energy in the hip, and that's going to allow us to drive through that hip more effectively. So that's the big thing that I've been focusing on recently, and now that I'm finally got it, because it takes a little bit of time and it takes a little bit of practice, but now I finally got it. As I set up for my shot, I'm loading this leg. I've got a decent amount of upper body coil. I'm getting my belly button rotated towards that hip. All that is storing energy that then allows me to throw this hip forwards. So what I recommend that you do, if you're struggling to use your kinetic chain effectively, if you're struggling to be able to create power efficiently on your shots, is record yourself and go through in slow motion like this and see, are you setting up properly? Are you actually loading that outside leg? Are you getting a proper unit turn? Are you getting proper body coil in order to be able to use your hip? Because if you're not, that's what you've got to focus on first, because until you get that part, and this applies to me, that's why I'm making this video, until you get that part, you won't be able to create the sort of power that you want to create. Okay, hopefully that video has been helpful for you. If it has, you might be interested in a free workshop that I've got coming up. This is a 5-day neuro tennis challenge where I'm going to be teaching you how you can use brain-based training to become a better tennis player. So day 1 of this 5-day challenge is all about analyzing your strokes. So looking at your strokes and working out where things are going wrong, and then talking about how you can structure your practice to develop new habits that hold up under pressure in matches. Then for the rest of the week, so days 2, 3, 4 and 5, we're going to be focusing on brain-based training, because in addition to understanding how techniques works and how to practice properly, you also need to have the skill to do what you're trying to do. It's a nice idea that if we just keep on practicing, we'll get better and better and better. But in reality, and you might have experienced this already, there's a point where things start to slow down. Everyone improves at the start, but then you reach a point and it's very hard to get past that. And that happens because your hand-to-eye coordination is limiting you. The good news though is that you can actually train and improve that using brain-based training, and I want to teach you how to do it for free on this workshop. So I'll place a link to it down in the description. Click on that link, it'll take you over to a different page where you can learn more about it and register. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you at the workshop. Otherwise, I'll catch you on my next video.